Hello everyone, meet me again, Ilham. The storyline of this film is entitled TITEL Lahad Datu, which is taken from a true story during the 2013 Sabah conflict between the Sultanate of Sulu and the country of Malaysia in Southeast Asia. The Sultan of Sulu's efforts to revive his claim to power over the Sabah region have sparked a bloody conflict. Hundreds of fully armed Sulu militants intend to invade. The Malaysian government responded by deploying special forces to stop them. The film begins with Sulu fighters preparing to invade the Sabah region. A leader named Raja Iskandar motivates his soldiers to continue fighting to seize the Sabah region, which they claim as the territory of the Sultanate of Sulu. The next day, hundreds of Sulu fighters appeared to have moved across the border. A police officer on duty in the area could only see and record the incident. The Malaysian government, which received a report that Sulu fighters had entered Sabah, held a meeting to take action. They intended to negotiate with the Sultanate of Sulu so that there would be no bloodshed. However, to anticipate a confrontation with Sulu fighters, they assigned special forces, namely the 69 commando troops, to oversee the negotiations. At the command headquarters, they were seen doing combat training. After the training was over, their leader said that the Sabah region had been attacked by Sulu militants. For that, they were asked to prepare themselves because that night they would be sent to carry out a mission to guard the negotiation process. The mission they would carry out would likely last quite a long time. Therefore, before leaving, they were asked to say goodbye to their respective families. The next day, members of the 69 commando troops arrived in Batu and Sabah. They were greeted by a police inspector named Saiful. Saiful told one of the members, Samri, that he intended to join the 69 commando troops. However, at that time he had not received permission from his mother. Hearing this, Zamri said that to become a member of the commando troops, the mother's blessing was the most important thing. Therefore, he asked Saiful not to give up and to keep trying to get his mother's blessing. They immediately prepared their equipment and then left for the negotiation location. They arrived at the negotiation location at the Sulu militant headquarters. With tight security and complete weaponry, they were ready to prevent unwanted things from happening. The Malaysian side was represented by Kamal and his aide, Major Mizan. They met directly with King Iskandar, the leader of the Sulu militants. In the negotiations, King Iskandar went straight to the point by asking for compensation of 800 million ringgit and wanted the Malaysian government to hand over authority over the Sabah region to the Sultanate of Sulu. Hearing this, Kamal said that the request was too big and impossible to do. The Malaysian side wanted the Sulu fighters to lay down their weapons and retreat. Finally, there was no agreement between the two parties. They then returned to the command headquarters to plan the next steps. At the command headquarters, Major Mizan said that tomorrow they would continue the negotiations. They were also asked to evacuate civilians who would be assisted by the Malaysian police. After that, the commandos told a little about the Sulu soldiers. It was said that they were equipped with immunity, although they did not believe it. They were aware that the enemies they faced were people who had been involved in guerrilla warfare in the jungle for 42 years. Unforgettable evacuation experience. Andy Muhammad told when he was on duty fighting terrorists in Lahad, his grandfather all used numbers. We residents were shot, he still did that, but we residents questioned it. He was wearing a tom-tom shirt, but we residents checked his body, he was only wearing a shirt, his body might be fine. We residents were all commandos, so we were told to shoot the head with the feet. The next day, the joint TNI began evacuating residents. There was tension when they were about to take residence who were blocked by several Sulu militants. Luckily there was no shootout and they immediately left the place. During the evacuation, Saipul was seen looking for his mother among the residents. His mother should have also evacuated because their house was not far from the conflict area. However, after searching for a long time and asking officers, he did not find his mother. Saiful, who was panicking, immediately went home, but he also did not find his mother there. On the other hand, Kamal and Major Mizan continued the negotiations. They distributed a number of cigarettes and food with the intention of softening the hearts of the Sulu militants. King Iskandar asked. But the Malaysian government could not provide what he asked for. The situation escalated when King Iskandar received a report that the residents had been evacuated. Major Mizan emphasized that he would take military action if King Iskandar and his troops refused to retreat, but instead of being afraid, King Iskandar remained firm and ready to fight. We will not retreat. At the command headquarters, Kamal and Major Mizan immediately formulated their war strategy. They would surround the Sulu militants from various directions to cut off supplies and ensure that none escaped. That night several reconnaissance troops had also been sent to monitor the movements of the Sulu militants. The next day helicopters were sent to distribute leaflets containing a final warning for the Sulu militants to retreat and surrender. But of course they ignored it, so that a military operation was carried out. The 69 commandos were divided into 4 teams, namely Team Whatever, Charlie, Alpha and Delta. They began to move to their respective sectors that had been determined until finally the Charlie team was the first to meet the Sulu militant troops and a fierce battle began. The Charlie team's position seemed less advantageous because their position was the center of the Sulu militant attack. After finishing off several enemy troops, Charlie's team members who were trapped were finally shot one by one. Even Masnan, the Charlie team commander, and one of his members were shot dead. Bravo, Alpha, and Delta teams immediately helped Charlie's team, who were cornered, until they were finally able to turn things around and successfully beat back the Sulu militants. After the battle, Commando 69 lost 2 of its members and several were injured. They managed to capture the son of King Iskandar. J, who was annoyed, wanted to finish him off immediately, but he was held back by his colleagues. J looked very sad at the loss of his 2 commando friends. The next day, they continued the operation of Commando 69, tasked with securing the Sulu militant headquarters on the plantation, while the police were assigned to secure a coastal village called Kampung Air. Commando 69 found the Sulu militant headquarters empty. It seemed that the Sulu militants had moved to another area. Meanwhile, the police began searching every house in Kampung Air, and there they found many Sulu militants in the village, and a fierce battle ensued. Because they were outnumbered, the police forces were shot one by one, including Inspector Sayul, who was also shot. Even their commander finally died tragically. Sayul, who was badly injured, could not do much and could only watch from a distance as his commander was brutally killed. The last phone call recording was from Inspector Majid, who was hiding in the water village. It seemed that almost all the police had died. Hearing that, J wanted to be sent immediately to the water village to kill the Zulu militants. However, Kamal and Major Mizan reminded him not to act rashly so that there would be no more casualties on their side. Major Mizan had also sent intelligence members to observe the situation in the water village. He planned to attack the next day. Several intelligence members who were sent managed to enter the water village. They observed the situation and found King Iskandar there. The information was immediately reported to the command headquarters to be used as an ambush strategy. Meanwhile, from a distance, Saiful saw his mother and several residents being held hostage by the Sulu militants. He, who was seriously injured, could not do much and could only hide while waiting for help to arrive. King Iskandar was very angry because he found many of his men dead and his son who had previously been captured. Realizing that he would be attacked again, they had placed their troops in strategic places to carry out a counterattack. The next day, all members of the 69 Command were ready to depart. Before leaving, Major Mizan and Zambri gave motivation to encourage them to continue fighting until the last drop of blood to defend the nation's sovereignty. They began to move into the water village from land and sea to carry out an ambush and ensure that no Sulu militants escaped. The Alpha and Durapo teams who moved from land began to explore every alley in the village by following the directions of the intelligence team that had been monitoring their movements. The Brapo team heard the voice of a small child from a house. They immediately secured the child and at that moment they were attacked by several Sulu militants. The small child was successfully secured and the enemy was successfully paralyzed. The Alpha team who was on the other side also managed to secure Saiful who was injured. Saiful informed the location of the residents who were being held hostage and begged Zambri to save his mother. Zambri promised that he would bring Saiful's mother safely. They continued to move and returned to secure 2 police officers who were hiding. The Alpha team headed to the house where the residents were being held hostage. With the help of the intelligence sniper team, they managed to kill the Sulu militants and save the residents. There was a fierce battle between Zambri and one of the Sulu militants. Until finally Zambri managed to win the battle. While securing the residents and injured members, the Sulu militants attacked indiscriminately. Fortunately, with the help of the Delta team, the Sulu militants were successfully paralyzed. The Alpha and Bravo teams received information about the location of King Iskandar. They immediately moved to the location and a fierce battle ensued. King Iskandar and several of his men tried to escape using a speedboat. Realizing this, the Delta team immediately gave chase until they reached the edge of the beach. All of King Iskandar's men had been killed. Now he was the only one left holding one of the residents hostage. With the help of a sniper, King Iskandar was finally paralyzed. Zambri immediately checked his body and it turned out that it was not King Iskandar but his men who were used as disguises for diversion. King Iskandar and the rest of his troops managed to escape via land in a palm oil plantation. And the film ended. The conflict ended with the defeat of the Sulu Sultanate, which was forced to retreat to the Philippines after losing the battle with Malaysian troops. Even so, the claim to Sabah by the Sulu Sultanate and related groups became an unresolved issue. After this incident, Malaysia tightened surveillance and security in the Sabah region. Given the potential for further threats from armed groups both from the Philippines and from other militant groups. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.